Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and today I'm actually doing a review on a movie I did a reaction on a number of months ago, and that would be... Oh, no. Shark Attack was released in 1999 by New Image, a movie made to be a cash-in on the short-lived creature feature trend in the late 90s. I talked about this more in my Octopus review, but unlike that movie, this actually got a bigger release, debuting itself on HBO, the same year The Sopranos came out. Now, this movie would release itself technically 2 months before Deep Blue Sea, and while there are similarities, I wouldn't necessarily call it a knockoff of Deep Blue Sea. Shark Attack is just taking advantage of a big budget blockbuster, kind of like this film set that I bought. I mean, it essentially is kind of taking advantage of the Meg, you know? You gotta make money somehow. You use a bigger movie as your marketing, why not? Now, originally I didn't have that much to say on this movie, not because I feel I have nothing to say, it's just I thought I said everything in the reaction, but a couple things sitting on this movie gave me a couple ideas. Also, this movie doesn't really have a lot of behind-the-scenes info, so it was really hard to make a whole 15-20 minute review on something where there really isn't that much there. And then finally, I just realized that this type of movie is perfect for shorter types of synopsis reviews, because at least that way I can discuss it in some manner that's more proper, and at least I can put my thoughts on the paper. So that's why I'm kind of doing this. That way you guys get more content on a timely manner, and as well I can kind of talk about movies of this scale compared to movies like Abominable or Eight-Legged Freaks or Them, where they have a lot more going on behind the scenes and in the movie themselves. So let's get into Shark Attack, and let's rip the band-aid right off. The shark attacks in this movie are terrible, and are the worst aspect of this movie. Some of the scenes are okay, but most look like somebody accidentally recorded a shark documentary over the film and never corrected it. I don't know if the shark prop failed, if they ran out of money or time, but the shark sequences are painful. Most of the shots are stock footage elements that are poorly cut into what's supposed to be going on in the movie. A dark lagoon will all of a sudden have a bright light overhead, but in the water there isn't any reflection or any reason why the water should be that bright. There will be random shark attack, and there's no real importance to the story. It just happens. It doesn't impact the characters, and it just feels like it's there to pad out the runtime. When they do use the shark animatronic, it looks lifeless. I was laughing at this thing. Now, the editing tries to use the stock footage and animatronics the best it can, but it's just jarring. It just reminds me of something like Taken with sharks, which isn't a compliment at all. Taken 3, be more specific, and again, made me rethink another movie, Octopus, and actually say that the creature attacks in that movie are better, which is insane. That shouldn't be the case, but at least it's long, drawn-out shots where you can actually see the creature. It looks terrible, but you can see it, and it actually kind of fits for what it's doing. Now, I know I just complimented Octopus, but I will say everything else in this movie is better than Octopus. Now, I will say the reason for the shark attacks in this movie is not just a handful of super smart sharks that have been genetically altered. It's whatever shark just happens to be affected by one of the main factors that just lives in its habitat off the coast. Meaning you can't just kill the main shark and be done with it. You have to stop what is actually causing them to be altered, aggressive, and going after people in the first place, which weirdly enough makes the sharks more of a victim in this movie. A strange concept that I wish was explored. It isn't, but I wish it was. Again, coming off Jaws, where sharks were essentially seen as like demons in the water and you just had to kill them, they were just monsters. I do like the idea of sharks being represented as monsters, and don't get me wrong, they're still killing people, but them being pushed in a certain aspect and they have to necessarily change the image. Again, would be a cool idea if this movie went into it, but it just doesn't. At most, the sharks are more just a wild card, meaning they'll attack anyone during an action sequence, which brings me to the most surprising part about this movie. While not game-changing, the car chases, boat chases, and other sequences in this movie are competent. Not amazing, but for a low-budget TV film in the 90s, it's not bad. It's sad when I could say that you could take out a shark attack in Shark Attack, and it really wouldn't have that big impact on the plot, but if you remove a chase sequence, that would actually impact the characters and the story. Oh, right.
Look, we're not bothering anyone. You are bothering me.
Casper Van Dien, or that guy from
Come on, you idiots, you wanna live forever!
is fine as your main protagonist. I don't believe for a second he was a marine biologist, but I do believe he can fight. He goes to find out how his friend DeSantis got eaten by a shark, and joined by Jenny McShane's character, who's also looking into her brother's death. Look, we can ignore them because honestly there's really not much to say, good and or bad, about them. But let's talk about the actual good character slash actor in this movie, and that being Ernie Hudson.
But when Hacker told me about your little thumpers, well, that was simply divine.
Probably because Ernie Hudson at least knows what type of movie he's in, and instead of trying to take this material very seriously, he's just having fun with the material he's given. Now, there is a detriment, and since he's set up as more of a surprise villain toward the end, he doesn't get that much screen time. Instead, we get another villain character through a majority of the movie, and to be fair, since Ernie Hudson set a high bar, when someone else can't hit it, you feel it. And when someone misses the mark this much, you really feel it. Now, I won't necessarily blame it on the actor, I blame it more so on the movie, as it can't decide whether it wants this character to be a cold-hearted villain, just killing kids in order to make money, or a character that's just trying to make a drug to save millions. It just jumps back and forth wildly, which makes it even more jarring every time this guy shows up.
Of all people should appreciate what I'm trying to do.
Oh, now I know why you came here. There's no one to stop you from playing God.
Dr. Craven is using chemicals to alter sharks in the area. The sharks are then caught, and then he pulls a drug from their brains because, again, it's going on the idea of sharks have amazing properties that make them really hard to get cancer. Again, it's in a lot of other shark movies from the late 90s, so it's kind of following that idea. Point is, he pulls the chemicals, gives them the kids, and while they temporarily get better, eventually they get worse. And Ernie Hudson's main character, the guy funding this, doesn't see this working out anytime soon. So in the meantime, he secretly is using thumpers to attract sharks to drive away business and then buy up everything in town in order to then
Money!
Now, I will say Ernie Hudson could have had his henchmen kill the main party investigating this matter at any time. It doesn't really feel like he ever didn't have full control. He just chose not to, which is weird. Again, he invites him over to dinner. You can just tell your family to leave and just have them executed. I'm just saying. But I will also say the story does intertwine a lot of other aspects. That being, again, the henchmen they're being used, the politics of the town, the fishermen being affected by said sharks, and I guess random bystanders being attacked by sharks. Again, there are a lot of different things that are involved in this story that could be potential here for at least an entertaining B-movie. But the writing just makes this entire experience just boring. And I know, movie, that you're trying to have multiple twists and turns in this movie, but I can see them coming a mile away. And if you don't do anything interesting or unique with said twists and turns, and also how you present them, and or maybe the action sequences and the shark attacks, it just makes the whole experiencing just boring. Now, overall, this film does take itself very seriously. Then there are a couple humor moments, but there isn't enough poorly done sequences, at least compared to Octopus, where you can laugh at it, which makes a lot of the sequences that you're watching this kind of just feel more monotonous than anything else. Now, in reading comments on my videos, I noticed one on the reaction for Shark Attack that was actually pretty positive. And while I can see and agree with their point, I will say that there's enough negative aspects about this movie, specifically the shark attacks, that really bring it down for me. Look, if you want to see a movie in New Image's catalog that isn't complete trash fire, I can see you getting something out of Shark Attack, but for me, it's just bland enough in a sea of shark movies that it's just one that I will keep in the depths below. Alright, but thank you guys for at least listening to my rationale on Shark Attack and what I thought of it. Again, I feel like if I do reactions of more movies, I'll have these out at a quicker pace, but we'll see. And again, I was stuck on a script for Malignant for so long that I wrote this just to get myself out of it. And now I'm on another creature feature, in this case, Mimic, which I'll be going full in-depth review on. So if you want something longer, stay tuned for that, hopefully in February. But anyway, this has been Greyshot17. Thank you all for your support, and I'll hopefully see all of you next time.